welcome to River Talk today. Today is the 19th of April, and we have a wide range of topics. Again, we're going to be discussing today. I'm going to introduce the people that are on panel today. We got Trey, Colin, myself, Zach as your moderator. We got Nicholas and Ashlyn on the end there. So the first topic we're going to be discussing is North Korea. So Trump said we are sending an armada. Sending an armada. You know, it's not just one aircraft carrier anymore. The USS Carl Vinson was sent apparently earlier this month, and now apparently it's going to be an armada. So, do you think it's necessary to really scale up the amount of forces we're sending to the peninsula? Would be my first question.
Well, as much as the nationalist in me does like a good show of American military power, ultimately I think North Korea is just all talk, and I don't think it's necessary. I mean, I'm not entirely opposed to it because, like I said, I like seeing us flex our muscle, letting the world know that we're not to be trifled with, but I wouldn't call it necessary, you know?
I think I would call it necessary because, as Colin said, Kim Jong is mostly talking. I mean, this is a shouting contest, and Trump knows how to shout louder. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to come to North Korea launching any kind of offensive, because Kim Jong wants to preserve his legacy as much as possible. He knows that. I mean, even a lunatic knows that. So he knows that the second he pulls any kind of move, they're going to get blown off the face of the map. So I don't think it's going to come to anything serious anytime soon. So I do think that the large military presence is necessary in winning the shouting match.
Let's say hypothetically it does devolve into a ring match between the United States and North Korea, the allies in the region. So I guess how do you think North Korea would respond?
I mean, South Korea is going to be the first to go.
Yes, so we got North Korea, and then we also have China massing troops on the border as well. So I guess if it devolves into a cage match between, basically Western powers and China and North Korea, how do you kind of picture the sequence of events going?
I see North Korea getting absolutely decimated, just destroyed. Okay, just for lack of better terms, they get annihilated. And I see more than likely the South Koreans will immediately move to start reunifying the province.
If they haven't already been destroyed.
I was going to say, if it's North Korea,
that's their immediate first.
South Korea and Japan might want to, those are like the people who want to watch out.
Because China has interest in not having the Korean or the being reunited.
The one thing I was going to say is if South Korea if they go in and they unify the peninsula, China's probably going to want some sort of concessions, whether it be economic or maybe even territorial. So,
we have to ask ourselves this question though, because we got two possible outcomes here. We have North Korea being decimated by U.S. and allied bombings, invasion, whatever it might be, but you also have China on the border as well, possibly moving in just to change the government itself, to remove the person from power who's kind of starting all the shouting match in the first place. So
putting in a more China.
And so what happens if these events happen simultaneously and Chinese soldiers all of a sudden be on the end of being bombed as well while they're moving in to try and switch the regime?
Boy, that would just be one dilly of a pickle, wouldn't it?
Because it's not hard to imagine though those things happening at the same time though, because they definitely have interest in keeping North Korea a communist country, while the Western powers want to see the peninsula itself be reunited with South Korea.
But they also want to keep us happy because we buy all their stuff. So
I feel like at this point China's kind of just playing both sides just to see what works out for them.
That's
China
probably
just wants what's best for them.
That's not wrong.
So, if we can take down North Korea, there's no one to say no that China won't try to take that area just because they want what's best for them. They don't really seem to have a side as much as how can China benefit.
I mean, that's what they're doing in the South China Sea.
Yeah.
Just all this land with everybody else's. Oh, it's just fine.
And then they build their own land.
Yeah, and they manufacture their own land.
Yeah, that's not gonna lie. That's pretty next level.
China doesn't get around apparently.
And also should be noted that the past several weeks they've also been kind of railing against North Korea itself, turning away flights to Korea, sending back their coal ships. Like they're almost in a sense trying to isolate the dictator that's currently in North Korea, just saying, hey, if you keep this up, we're going to do a lot worse than just, say we're not going to accept your coal ships or shut down tourism. And another interesting event that's been going on is Turkey, is it president or prime minister?
President.
President, yeah.
The president of Turkey got a referendum passed allowing him to have more executive authority and being able to be a lot easily pass, do they have a parliament there, I think?
Yeah.
To pass the parliamentary system when it came to issues regarding the country. So I guess I just want your guys' takes on what it implies for Turkey having a president with more executive authority.
I'm not even familiar with the situation that's going on, so.
So back in, I think this referendum was a response to earlier this year, maybe it was last year, the Turkish military tried to do a coup of the current seated president. I think like 40,000 people, military personnel, got arrested after doing that. It's been argued that whether it was staged on Erdogan's part or if it was an actual, attempted military coup, because a lot of the big-wig generals did get behind it. A lot of military officers weren't behind it. It was much more, junior officers, NCOs, stuff like that, and a bunch of soldiers under their command. So people argue he planned this so he could get more executive power. Other people say, hey, it happened, and he just wants more authority to keep something like that from happening. What are you guys got different takes on what this might mean for Turkey though as a
See,
whole?
if they weren't a member of NATO, I think it'd ultimately be irrelevant. But see, we're in an alliance with them, and them starting to steer a little more toward authoritarianism and less from democracy and of the values that pretty much are the core of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. That's kind of raising some eyebrows. I think it's something that really needs to be watched.
Yeah, that's the big concern, is that they are gonna go more authoritarian dictatorships, like somewhere on that angle instead of democratic. And I know it's been in class, Berlin teacher referred to it as like Turkey was like in that area, the democracy, and now it's kind of falling out of that. So it is, becoming an issue.
But it's not like it's never been there before.
Yeah.
An empire.
I mean, it's kind of been that way, and then it got towards democracy, and now it's going back. So whether
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like a country like the United States all of a sudden just bam.
And do you think it's turning more into a dictatorship or a theocracy?
I would say probably more.
Theocracy.
Theocratic. Is
Yeah.
that? I would say probably that because if I'm correct, Erdogan's he's a pretty religious fellow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Or religion.
Islam.
And I've heard this on and off that Turkey's been having this sort of confrontation with Saudi Arabia on like the leader of like the Sunni or Shiite world or something like that. So I guess them approaching more towards theocracy, I guess, kind of brings more to the table in that argument, I guess. But I mean,
And that once again, that also sets a bad precedent for NATO because
Absolutely.
we don't want to be, because I mean, if they get attacked by treaty, all the NATO countries have to join in. We don't want to be drawn into a potential, I mean, this is obviously the worst case scenario, but
Yeah.
we don't want to be drawn into a holy war started by Turkey
mm-hmm.
because state-sponsored religion.
Now, are any of you?
A problem though, Turkey, because there are a lot of people who claim that like the election was rigged in the whole voting and that people cheated.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, but I feel like it's a lot.
I think they'd be a little more
Yeah, 'cause
angry
they have,
about it.
well, and they have like their
more
paper
instability.
ballots and stuff, so it is like a different voting system.
And it
There's
should be
that
noted,
fear.
I read an article last night about it, how a lot of the major population centers like, Istanbul, areas like that, voted majority no into the referendum. So what it ended up turning out being was a lot of the rural population in Turkey going out and voting in favor of this
That also
referendum.
sounds familiar.
I know that there was a lot of appeals to like recheck this decision, and I know a lot of them were rejected so far, as of a few hours ago,
So,
but
help me understand what more executive powers does he have now that it's been?
Just, if I'm correct, it's just more ways to like bypass Turkey's parliament and legislative process and all that.
yeah,
Okay.
it's essentially.
So potentially dangerous stuff, but nothing directly.
Nothing that he's said.
It's an interesting situation because
It's a slippery slope.
because they're in NATO, so technically we have nothing to fear from them. They're not going to go invade, Bulgaria or Greece, God help us. It's a very interesting situation because you have a democratic country steering more towards an authoritative state, which NATO is comprised of Western
In an
democracies.
alliance of democracies.
Yeah. And welcome back to River Talk. We took a short little break there. When we left off the first segment of this podcast, we talked about North Korea and Turkey. We're going to be shifting the discussion, though, to, of course, what recently made headlines, Fox News dropping Bill O'Reilly.
After how many allegations of,
I know,
let's
it's,
say, inappropriate behavior?
Yeah, he really thrust himself into the spotlight this time.
I know, it's quite an interesting situation. So, I just
He's
thought,
their
I,
top-rated host.
That's what they, that's what one of the
he
articles
averaged
said,
on
like,
a good night, it was
Yeah, he
probably
was on
3
top.
million viewers, 3.25.
That's one of the reasons he wasn't fired on the spot.
It was only after they pulled like 50 advertisers from.
Yeah, a bunch of sponsors were sitting there dropping them because of the allegations, and then, once, Fox News is a for-profit organization,
Oh,
right? So,
absolutely.
once you start losing money, you gotta drop the reason.
So you gotta
why
make
you're
some
doing it.
changes.
No longer a moneymaker.
And
Bye.
And I mean, as someone who watches Fox News quite a bit, I mean, my opinion on Bill O'Reilly has always been, he's great giving his opinion, even if I don't always agree with it, but he was horrendous at interviewing people.
Oh, yeah.
He needed the spotlight. Like, he needed to thrust himself into the spotlight. There was no way around. So he would have a guest on, might even a guest that totally agrees with him, saying exactly what Bill O'Reilly was going to interrupt him with, and Bill O'Reilly goes and interrupts him anyway. So
He's on vacation too.
I know, what I thought was very suspicious, there was a new scandal, and then he goes to vacation apparently, and then apparently he's had booked for a year, and then, oh wow, now conveniently he got dropped. I mean, it's just, to me it was a pretty obvious sequence of events of what was going on.
well, Fox has got a lot of up and coming talent, so I mean, they'll
Yeah,
probably find
do
someone
you have
to
any
replace him.
names in the, in the pool there? Who do you think they might pick out to replace him?
Well, Tucker Carlson is like their new brightest and shining star, the libertarian guy who will like smack down with anyone on the left side of politics, or even people on the right who are a little off their rocker, if you will. He comes to mind. He also got like Eric Bolling. He used to do like the financial shows in the morning, but now he's kind of he's got on their show called The Five, which is like an ensemble of a bunch of different hosts, and he's made quite a name for himself from that. So there's talk that he might get a night show, and okay, that's pretty much it.
You guys got any takes or any opinions on Bill O'Reilly you want to share on
I
it? He's out of the spotlight,
Yeah,
I
thrust
think
himself
I think
out.
it's good that
He came in, he came out, nobody knows how it happened.
I think it's good that obviously he's getting punished for what he did. And two, it's nice to have some fresh programming.
Yeah, he'd been on TV for 20 years.
Oh, it's
There
crazy.
comes a time, even if this wouldn't happen, he was getting there.
He lives well beyond most dogs.
But I mean, yeah, what's the poor guy gonna do now? I mean, he just doesn't have it.
He's got millions of
He's got
dollars,
gazillions.
like $10,000 suits, and awesome hair.
Awesome.
He's got awesome hair.
Yeah,
That's
you ever
a
seen
qualification
his
to
hair?
know.
We're talking Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah, dude, he could land any show he wants with that hair. Look
He
at
could land a plane.
Look at Donald Trump and his hair. He landed the presidency.
Shit.
I shoot and I score.
Toupee.
Speaking
I
of
see what you did.
toupee,
Baguette.
so we got some baguettes coming. We got some rising stars in the French election.
Some rising baguettes in the oven.
We got some great baguettes rising out of the French election here, so we're going to be.
The lack of French here is just.
So we got a couple of candidates here. I'm going to list off here.
You know
These-
they don't serve French fries in their schools.
Or as they would just call them fries.
Yeah.
Well, no one cares about what those cheese-eating surrender monkeys eat.
You know, in
so
World War
continue.
II, in World War II, they were called freedom fries. So,
Freedom.
Surrender
Oh,
fries, not too bad. Or Vichy French fries.
Okay, let's stop dissing our French allies for a second.
France sucks.
Can I have them on salt?
Or our camera guys. So,
I'm well aware.
so we got Marine Le Pen, who is the.
She's like the next Margaret Thatcher. I mean,
Well, Margaret Thatcher, she was like 10,000 times more to the right.
yeah, but she's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, so go ahead and, if you could, just list some of her policy ideas and why I guess she's so popular.
Well,
She's a very conservative candidate from what I.
She's the head of the Front National, which kind of used to be an anti-Semitic party, but her dad was the head of the Front National back
He
when they
said
were-
some very interesting things.
Yeah, like some Holocaust denial stuff, some real nasty stuff. Marine Le Pen kicked him out of the party and assumed control of it and transformed it from kind of a, let's not beat around the bush, kind of a neo-Nazi party and kind of turned it into more of a far-right, protectionist, isolationist, similar to like Trump's populism, but you know, minus the anti-Semitism of her father. And on a lot of things, she's kind of similar to Donald Trump, like a halt to immigration, less interventionism in the Middle East, with the exception of Syria.
I actually read yesterday that if she were to be elected president, she would actually just completely eliminate immigration to France.
That would not surprise me. I mean, I think there's actually a majority of French who want to complete halt to immigration for a while. And one thing that kind of differs her from pretty much American politicians in general is she's called for a ban on not only wearing hijabs in public, but also turbans, like for Sikhs and stuff. And I mean, I'm pretty right-wing, that doesn't even line up with me.
I'm just curious, is she saying no religion display, like all religions, like is it across the board religion, or is it just targeting specific?
From the interview I saw, yeah, like all religions.
Okay.
So
Treating
Well,
everyone
in
fairly.
her defense, I mean, it is religious, but, I mean, that's just like having a no hat or, you know, no hood policy.
I mean, you know, in a sense, that makes sense for, I don't know if government workers in France already do that, but definitely.
yeah, but I guess for me, coming from the United States, you know, we have the First
Yeah.
Amendment, freedom of speech. Ideas like that are totally alien to us. So.
Then we got, help me out with his name, Mélenchon.
Yeah, Mélenchon, he's the nominee for the Socialist Party, and he's a really, really far left guy. Like minimum income, increase in pensions, taking in more refugees, just the spitting image of a communist.
Do you guys have any, I guess, really thoughts on presidential candidates? Have you been able to look into much into them?
That's much.
I was like, I haven't been following French election.
Let's see, I actually just,
So much going on here.
I found this
Yeah.
hilarious that I only found out the French election was like this week or next week.
Coming up and
It's soon.
It's coming up soon, and I just learned about it like 2 days ago. Like, I'm like,
Most
yeah.
foreign elections aren't nearly as big and.
Yeah.
But here's,
Production
I think this
values
is
are-
something why we need to watch them, because France is a major part of the European Union,
And NATO.
and so depending on who gets elected, it really determines the future of the European Union in a sense, because if they drop out, chances are Germany's probably going to drop out.
And
Chances
the
are-
European Union will collapse.
So it's really definitely, has Le Pen been saying get rid of the
Oh
EU?
yeah, she's huge anti-EU. She wants a Frexit, as she calls it.
France.
I'd have just called it surrender from the EU, but I'm not French, so. I don't know, they're good at surrender, so.
It was one world war. They weren't prepared for the Blitzkrieg.
And it would have been another world war had we not showed up.
Won't argue.
All right,
Argue that.
Mr. Dr. Pepper.
It's good stuff.
That's our sponsor. You get the labels with the camera.
Buy two and get a
Yo, I
$5
think-
Uber code.
I think that we're actually not supposed to have any brand products.
you're not.
Oh, too late.
That's okay. We get sued. We get sued, I got a lawyer. That's okay. So, another interesting event, there's just so many interesting events here. So we got the 6th District of Georgia, a Democratic candidate, so since the 1970s, the 6th District of Georgia is something that Republicans have held for the longest time.
Mhm.
And it was kind of really interesting to see how a Democratic candidate got 48% of the vote. Like you said, though, Republicans were split
By 11.
by 11 different candidates, but I mean,
But one candidate got 48%.
Because there were like no Democrats running other than Mr. Ossoff, so.
But still, one.
Well, the
I
Democrats
think it
counted
should
right
be.
under one, and all the Republicans had to go to 11 different people.
Yeah, see,
One out
I
of
think at
12.
both sides of like what you're saying, where like, yes, they had to split, but yes, he got a lot, but you know, at the same time, they had to split, so I think it'll be interesting to see like, further on, like how it plays out in the future
Oh,
in
he's
this
probably-
area. Because like, yeah, it's a weird split, and you have so many of one party. Like, I will admit that is definitely probably a contributing factor as to why, you know, one person got so much, because he essentially was unopposed in his area.
I was about to make a comparison to the Republican primary.
Can you get a quick rundown on that?
Well,
No, I just
actually-
thought that it was interesting because from what I saw from the results, there wasn't really,
Small hands.
Hey, quit talking about Marco Rubio.
But like, if we look at the results from a lot of the Republican candidates, a lot of them got, 10% of the vote, other ones got 5%. I mean, the results were kind of all around until you got, do you know who on the Republican side got the most votes by chance?
Karen Handel,
How much percent?
19.
19, okay, so you see like, all the votes are kind of lobbed around, those different candidates, and like in the primaries, you kind of saw clearly, like within the first 2 primaries, who was probably going to be the front runner and take the nomination. I just thought it was very interesting how divided Republicans were on the issue of selecting an actual candidate.
We
And even-
Republicans like to be divided.
And so with that, guys, that's all the time we got for today. We'll go ahead and end it right here.
Bye.